Hello, everyone, and welcome to the round one recap of Ottawa March Open. I've not been doing recaps in the last few weeks that much. I've been busy with a lot of work, but I hope in the next 10 days before the start of my next tournament, I can make more recaps and finish the backlog of games, a huge backlog of games that I actually have to make recaps on. Anyways, in round one, I was playing against Thomas Knechtel, who's rated around like 1785 FIDE and like 1990 CFC. And I was playing with the black pieces. So before the game, I didn't do that much preparation. I was just like, I'm going to play my main stuff, Caro-Kann. If he plays d4, I'm going to play knight f6. And just play my main stuff, what I know the best, and we'll see what will happen. So Thomas started the game with e4. I played c6, plays d4, I played d5, and he plays knight to c3, the classical variation of the Caro-Kann. So in general, when I face a much lower rated player, this is the line that I hate to see the most. Like, obviously, there are many other annoying lines against Caro-Kann. Like, if I'm facing a much higher rated player, maybe if you're a good advanced Caro-Kann player, that's much more annoying for me. But the thing with knight c3 is that compared to like let's say the advanced variation, it has a much more open theoretical nature of position where things start to get traded, and usually the line that I play, most people know the first like 12, 14 moves of theory, and it's kind of a little bit difficult to outplay them sometimes in the structures that arise. Anyways, I took on e4, knight takes e4, and here I usually have two options. I play both bishop f5 and knight f6 these days. But bishop f5 is still something that historically I know much better and I have more experience in. So my plan for this game was just to stick to what I know the best. I play bishop f5, knight g3, bishop g6, goes knight f3, threatening knight e5. So I play knight d7, stopping the knight from coming to e5. And white plays the typical h4, threatening h5 to trap my bishop. I give my bishop a little bit of a square. h5, bishop h7, bishop d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, and now e6. So this is what I say about the classical Caro-Kann. Like, we already played 10 moves, and there are more than 6,000 games in the database in this position. So still like highly theoretical even after move 10. So generally when I play a low-rated player, I want to get to the non-theoretical part much earlier and try to start playing a game. That's where they actually start to make mistakes most of the time. Of course, I know the theory. I know what to do from this position, but the thing is, they usually also know theory, and we're going to get a theoretical battle. So bishop b2 is actually the most common move, but the second most common with very close range is bishop f4, stopping queen from coming to c7. Now black's best idea is to throw this check on a5. And the point is, if white goes c3, they're going to struggle to long castle. Like, in general, when white plays like this, the pawn on h5, they usually don't want a short castle. They want to keep the rook here, they want a long castle, and they want to start attacking on the king side. But if they go c3, then they're going to struggle to long castle. That's the problem. So the best move is bishop d2, which my opponent played. I played bishop to b4. c3 was played to kick the bishop, and now c4, kick the queen, and now we get this position, which is still, even after 14 moves, highly theoretical. More than 800 games have been played from this position. So that's basically the reason I'm not a huge fan of getting the classical Caro when I face a much lower rated player. So Thomas goes with long castle, knight gf6, and now knight e4. So again, even here after move 16, there are more than 100 games in the database. That's what makes it a little bit difficult. So here, black has a lot of options. Black can play rook to d8. Black can play b5. b5 is a very common idea, by the way, here, to try and vacate this d5 square for the knight. So I'm just looking at these ideas that I can possibly play for next games that I get from this position. b5 is an idea. Rook d8 is an idea. Maybe long castle. And in the game, I decided to make things a little bit spicy. I played short castle. So short castle looks a little bit risky because now white has the chance to go rook dg1, g4 and just start attacking and try to mate me. But based on my experience, I knew that these positions are fine for black. And indeed, black scores 36% win and only like less than 10% loss from this position. So I knew that these positions are actually good for black, and I short castle. Here my opponent plays a suspicious move, but it was very interesting. He plays rook dg1. Looks like a very natural move. He wants to go g4 and try to attack me on this side of the board. So I was a little bit scared already. I knew that I'm fine. Like I was 100% sure that I'm fine in this position. But it always looks scary when these things are coming. Like, if your opponent gets this, even if they're much lower rated, then it's a game of 3 results. In such a theoretical, spicy battle, everything can happen. I might as well miss a tactic and just get mated. So I was like, I need to be careful. This game can possibly be dangerous. Anyways, so the best move for white is actually to take on f6, and after knight f6, then play g4 right away. So it looks as though black can take, and after rook dg1, defend the knight with f5, or even go with some knight f2 ideas. But white has this very nice move, queen to e2, defending the pawn on f2 and preparing rook dg1 next. The point is with a queen on d2, not only defends the f2 pawn, it also puts pressure on the pawn on e6. So after rook dg1, if I go f5, then my pawn on e6 is gonna hang. So the line continues. I just had a quick look. Like I have to go king h8 and then drop the knight back. And white gets a huge initiative, huge attacking chances. And one of the lines can actually be like this. Queen e3, threatening to sack on h6. If I go king h7 and defend, white can just repeat moves. So I got to be careful about these things, about these forced draw lines when I play low-rated players. I got to go with the lines that avoid situations like this, where I actually have to take the draw. Maybe I can go knight g8, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just way too passive. I got to analyze. So yeah, g4 right away is actually not good because the knight is on e4 already. So when I take, queen e2 doesn't like attack the pawn on e6 anymore. I can simply go f5. I'm going to be up a pawn. Anyways, my opponent played rook dg1, and I was like, g4 is coming. I shouldn't allow that to happen. So I found the best move, knight to g4. So I stopped the pawn from coming to g4, and the thing is, this knight can't even be attacked. Like, knight h2 gets captured, the queen is guarding it. Rook h4 is not possible because of the bishop. So I was pretty happy with this position once I played knight g4. And if white plays the best move, which is queen e2, I can start striking on the queen side with a move like c5. I'm trying to create my own threats here. My opponent played a very interesting move, though. He played knight to h4. So now he's threatening to maybe even go f3 and kick my knight, and then go with g4, g5. So here I actually need to be very careful, and here I made a huge mistake. I thought that my knight is pointing towards f2, so if I go f5 and hit the knight, then he's in a bit of a trouble. So if he counterattacks my knight, when I take the knight, the queen is also hanging. That's a problem. And I started seeing some lines which I will show in the analysis of the next move. But the problem with this move in general is that it weakens the e6 pawn a lot, and it weakens the g6 square. So what I had to find is actually a little bit difficult. Like, the best move, like the top engine move, is knight d2 f6. And the idea is that after he trades the knights, I take back with a bishop. And it looks as though after queen e2, I'm actually in trouble because my knight is hanging and there's no squares for the knight. But I have this very insane move, rook a to d8. The point is, if he takes, I'm going to take back with a rook on d4, and then the knight on h4 is also going to be in trouble, as well as the pawn on c4. So the best for white is actually to go f3, but now I take on d4 with a bishop, and if they take on g4, they're up a piece temporarily, and if I take, he's going to get 2 pieces versus a rook. But then I have this move, queen to b6, attacking b2 and also threatening to win the rook by free. Even here, even if I get here, I still need to look at shenanigans like g5 and stuff like that after I take the rook. So still not so clear. I think the more human idea was to play c5. And now queen e2 is met by c takes d4. The thing is, if they take my knight, now I give this check. So I already have 2 pawns for the piece. And then I can win the piece back as well with f5. So I played f5 pretty fast. So I know both of these lines, like both knight df6 and c5, are not easy moves to see. But the criticism that I have for myself was playing a move that fast, like maybe in 2 or 3 minutes, where I needed to actually take my time. I needed to maybe spend like 10, 15 minutes in this position. It was a very critical moment. So even with f5, I miscalculated many things. So for instance, knight g6, which is the main line, I thought that after f e4, knight e7 check, king f7, I'm actually doing great after queen e4, knight f2. So I thought he's going to go like some queen h4 or rook f1. I'm just going to take the knight and be up a piece. But the thing is, after rook f1 takes, there's queen h4 check, just winning the knight back. White is doing great. And even instead of queen takes e4, he can go queen e2 and hit my knight. And then if I drop my knight back, he's going to drop back the knight to g6, and white is going to be better again. So after knight g6, I actually had to find the insane move knight d to e5 to enable my queen to defend the bishop, and then try to take this knight next move. Just some insane idea. Absolute chaos on the board. Anyways, my opponent found a very nice move as well. He played queen to e2. Very good move. So now the problem is, I'm not even attacking this knight. Like, taking the knight is not a move, because he's going to take back, attack e6, attack h6. So here I was already thinking I kind of messed up. I'm not happy. But I found a good idea. So I took on h4, because if I don't take this knight, it's going to come to g6. So definitely have to take it. And after rook h4, I go c5. So when my opponent starts attacking on the flank, it's a good idea to strike back in the center of the board, and like in the queen side. So Thomas finds the best move. Knight takes c5, knight takes c5, d takes c5. And here, I played a very interesting move, e5. So I saw I can also take on c5 with a queen, but the problem is after queen takes e6 check, king h8, and bishop c3, it's very difficult to play this position for the win. Like, of course, I'm not in trouble, but let's say I play a normal move like queen takes f2, then he has a forced draw. He sacks the bishop, sacks the rook, and then gets a perpetual on h6 and g6. So I was seeing that here there's a very high risk of getting into forced draw territories. Now, of course, when I analyzed afterwards, I saw I can still play on with a move like rook f7 and then queen f8, just to not let him go for perpetual and then try to play with some rook e8, but I didn't see that during the game, so I decided to play e5. Now he kicks my knight with f3, knight f6, g4, so now it's already getting a little bit scary. With these two rooks, he might go g5 and try to blast open my king. So I took on c5, attacking the rook on g1, and now he plays bishop e3. So far my opponent has been playing great chess, honestly. Like, he impressed me a lot up until this point. And white is actually better. And here, I made a move which I knew it's not good, but I want to bluff him, kind of. Like, he was very low on time. So I had like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I think. He has like 6-7 minutes. So here, I decided to, instead of queen e7, which is the best move, just coming and defending my king. And after gf5, king h8, even though I'm down a pawn, I'm claiming that his pawns are weak. And in the long run, maybe I can have some good winning chances. And the good point about queen e7 is that it x-rays the rook on h4. So if he goes g5, I have this nice move knight h7, and the pin is actually very annoying on the rook on h4. But in the game, I played queen a5, and I was really hoping that he gets scared of queen takes a2, plays a move like king b1, because he was also low on time. So I was hoping, since he can't calculate everything, he goes with a safer approach, king b1, and then I go f4, lock this side of the board, and then reroute my knight to g5. And that's actually good for me. Then I can maybe go here, e4, and all of a sudden black is in the driving seat. But he could have played g5 here, which would have put me in a huge trouble, because after takes queen a2, we can simply go h6. And this rook on h4 actually plays a very important role. So I was looking at lines like rook fc8, for instance, where I can maybe hide my king on h8 and go with my own attacks. But the problem is this rook on h4 defends the c4 pawn, so I'm not even in time to create a threat. I have to go b5 as well, and that's going to take ages. And I think, honestly, if he had gone for this, this is still very difficult to win for white, especially given the low time that he had. But I feel like it would have got to a situation where I would have taken the perpetual if he had gone for g5. Instead, he took on f5. And here, I decided to play for the win. Again, I could have gone queen takes a2, and I saw that this is playable, but then after bishop takes h6, this is probably going to lead to a situation where I have to take perpetual, because let's say rook d8, bishop takes g7, my king is going to get opened. So here I have to just take perpetual. No nonsense. If he goes king b1, I can trade the rooks and then get some perpetual here, or even take the bishop. So he actually needs to be careful. King b1 probably loses to rook d1. So because of that, I was worried of allowing all of that. So I played king h8. This is slightly worse for me, but I think it keeps the game going. That's what I wanted, because my opponent was already down to like 2 minutes, I think. So he played king b1, queen c7. I'm just down a clean pawn, but since he's low on time, he can't find the best moves. He starts playing moves that I didn't understand. First, he plays rook d1. So I could not understand what was the idea behind this move. Okay, rook comes to an open file, but it's not doing anything on the d file. Rook on g1 was actually very scary. I was scared of moves like rook g6 and preparing some sacrifices on h6. Where I saw I could allow and then go knight h7, but then I had to like sit there and calculate all of these stuff. He played rook d1, I played queen f7, attacking the pawn on h5. Now he plays a3. Again, I didn't understand this move. Gives a look for the king, but this is a story for another day. It's not something that he should be worried of that much. So now I take the pawn on h5, and I was like, okay, now the material is equal. I'm threatening to take this pawn with check, so it looks great. And here already I was thinking I'm winning. Indeed, it is, I would say, practically winning for black already, but white has some engine-like idea that could hold the game. I can just show you how insane it is. So he sacks the bishop on h6. I actually saw that. In the game. Now I thought that after all of these things, my king is completely safe. So I evaluated this position as winning for black. Just up a piece against the pawn, and there's no dangerous checks. But indeed, there's this insane move f4, which I doubt even grandmasters can find, especially from distance. And if I just take the pawn, he's going to give this check. And now he has to find this insane move, queen to h1. And even if he finds that, it's just not so clear why this is holding. Probably some sacks with perpetuals in most of the lines, but no human being is going to be able to see the whole thing from distance and evaluate this position as a draw. So I think this is already practically close to loss for white. My opponent played normal move rook dh1, but I just give this check, and after king a1, which is, again, like, here he's very low on time, and the best objective move is queen c2, but the thing is, after all of that, I'm just up a clean pawn in the endgame. And I understand why he didn't want to play like this. He played king a1, trying to go for some mate with the rooks and the bishop. But I go knight g3, and now if he sacks the bishop, I simply take the queen, and there's no mate. My king just runs away. So in this position, my opponent actually flagged. This was like the final position. It's already -3. It's completely winning. So let me actually enter the result real quick. So I managed to win this game. Pretty shaky game, to be honest. But it's a classical Caro. It's in general difficult to create chances. Like, when I make it spicy with an opposite side castling, it's easier to make chances, but I'm also in danger and the game gets a little bit tough to navigate sometimes. But in the end, I was able to outplay him when he was in time pressure. And he actually wanted to play queen g2 in the final position. One last thing, I can't take the rook because after bishop h6, he actually has a huge attack. But I already saw, like I showed him right after the game, that I can simply take on f3 with a queen, and now there's no attacks. If he goes like queen h2 or queen h1, queen h3, I just take with a queen on h1. If he trades queens and goes rook e1, I can simply get a rook endgame, which is easily winning. I sack the exchange, but I will get it back right away. And in the rook endgame, I'm going to be up 2 clean extra pawns, and that should be an easy win. And even here, if he tries to sack the rook, then after all of that, there's no checks left. And I'm going to take f3 next after queen g2. So even though my opponent flagged in this position, it's already dead lost. So I would say not a clean game, but in general, it's difficult to play these positions with opposite side castlings and an attack coming. But I think the biggest mistake which made it very difficult for me was playing this move f5, which gave a lot of weaknesses and a lot of targets for my opponent to aim for. But again, finding these lines with knight df6 or c5 were not easy as well. What I can criticize really was not spending enough time in the critical moment. Anyways, after all of that, I won this game and I was 1 out of 1. And the more interesting games are going to come from the next day, which I will cover in the next recap. So make sure to let me know your comments down below about this recap and also the new thumbnail style. Let me know whether you like it or not in the comments down below. And I hope I will be back with the next recap in the next day. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and see you soon. Have a great one, and goodbye.